A friend got in touch because his SK155 stitch dial is malfunctioning. He can't keep the stitch size adjusted unless he puts his finger pressing downward on it. So Jack is going to explain how it all works and what could be going wrong working on my SK150. That will be an acceptable help because most Singer Studio silver reed machines have their dials and covers in place in a very similar manner.
First, I want you to listen and hear the clicking that is being made here. Now, this particular model, you turn it past 10 and lift. But what you heard clicking was a spring going in these little slots right here around the dial. The spring is right there where my finger was pointing, but now I'll get an implement to point. That's the spring right there. So what we're going to do is I'll get the cover off of this and then we'll look at what's going on in there. This particular cover, we took the screws from the bottom side, 2 screws. Here's the thing. This guy won't come off. It comes off with the cover. The cover can't come off as long as this dial is in there. But now there is a spring right there that's keeping this dial from rising up. And I cannot show you any other way other than to put the screwdriver in, depress the tangs of the spring, and then lift this off. Now, if you'll notice, the hole in here has a keyway, looks just like an old style key hole because of this post. So when it goes on, it has to go on that way. Now, these are the spring fingers that I've been talking about that might be damaged or not properly engaged. And you'll notice notch, notch, notch for the bottom spring. And then a series of notches around your stitch size dial, and that's for the top spring. Okay.
Bottom?
Yep.
Top.
Right.
So they're a parallel set of arms,
right,
but each has a unique job.
You should be able to see them now. This is for the stitch size dial.
Yep, we can see it aligning.
And there you can hear it clicking away. And this is for the adjustment that you see I, S, and O.
We're changing various stitches to various stitches.
Right. So this is 2 things that could be wrong. This dial assembly may not be properly installed, or one of these could be bent. And if you'll notice, they're both held with 1 screw right there. That's the screw that holds these springs in place.
The worst case scenario, you might have to get a replacement spring set.
Yes, but it's just 1 screw. You take that screw out and the spring set comes off. It's got a notch on this end that goes into a declivity in the base plate. So you take the screw out and this comes right up and you can replace it fairly easily. Getting this on and off is tricky because you'll notice these ears have to go under the dial like so. These ears are under it, but the control tang is on top. So you see how I had to put it in there. But you have to do that with the cover going down at the same time. Now we get to this point, and again, these spring fingers are in the way. They won't let this dial drop down because of their tension.
And that's one of the things that people have trouble with, and that causes the dial not to seat properly and not really to select stitch size.
That's right. Now see, a little pressure down, and you see what I did. I reached in and moved the springs with the flat tip of the screwdriver. Now it's down past the first one. We'll get a still picture, but it's not down past the second one. You can see, you'd see a gap underneath this if it were all the way down. So it's not quite down yet. And that bottom's, there it goes.
There it went.
Now you can see, watch the screwdriver tip goes right underneath there. Common mistake putting these together. You get it past the top spring, but it's not into its set on the bottom spring. Now you can hear it click because it's properly seated. So this goes back on over the post past 10, but you still have to get it down past that spring finger. Now the problem is, this is the slide that controls the actual path the stitches are going to, the needle butts take a path according to where this post is positioned. But that is the eccentric right there, is the path for that post. So you've got two things going on. You've got the keyway that has to line up with the post, but that little stop right there needs to go into this eccentric. Now, if you'll notice, there's a deep cutout right there. So when you're past 10, that cutout lines up with the spring inside. So you don't have to fight the spring on this, but you do have to have this post in the right direction. So if you just look at it logically, there's your keyway lined up. There's the cutout that's going to let the spring get into position, and that means that this post is as close as it can get to the main post. If you look at the distance right there, you kind of set this until it's at that distance, and then if you hold your mouth just right and you wiggle a little bit, nope, missed. Gotta come a little bit closer. Aha.
And you should hear the positive snap.
Yeah, you should hear it snap in. And what it is that post that I showed you in the back that controls the slide for stitch size. You'll hear that when it pops into place.